YouTube friends and followers. This is Torrey Vent in Olympia. We're going to start part two of marijuana-related subjects, a collection of things that I've picked up over the years. When I hear something about marijuana, I annotate it and put it down, and I've got a long list to go through here. On part one, we did column one with 34 on it, and now we're going to get into part two. Thank you for listening. Here's the more or less complete list. Okay, one that we missed out on yesterday. I skipped over marijuana affective disorder in children, and that starts in the womb with a transplacental transfer of THC from the mother into the child. And what it does, it interferes with the imprinting of impulses on the fetal nerve channels, the motor and sensory nerves, and while they're imprinting. And what might happen, an impulse may start and get to a synapse and then get stuck and not be transmitted out the other side. So, or the signal may reach a synapse and then throw off on a tangent and go somewhere else. And what you wind up with is, when the child is born and learns how to walk, you may see a kid walking on his toes because the tactile sense of the bottom of his feet was misimprinted while he was a fetus, and went to the hearing part of his brain. So he can only, if he walks flat-footed on the floor, it's like a train going through his head, so he walks on his tiptoes to stop that. But anyway, I didn't cover that yesterday. I skipped over it for some reason. We'll get into column two, and here's the other three columns over here. We're going to be concentrating on column two for part two. Okay, we've got contact high headaches. If you live in Olympia and you go to the mall and you go downtown and you drive through traffic, you're going to be experiencing THC exposure many, many times during the day. It's almost universally used by probably 3/4 of the adults and probably at least half of the kids over 12. And I'm always a little bit impaired secondhand dope when I'm around town. But when I go on a car trip about the second day off, out on the road, not around anybody, and less exposures, the dope's wearing off. And as the dope wears off, you get a contact high headache, as the kind of headache you get when you have a hangover off of alcohol. Okay, the next thing, low sperm count. Yes, sir. People that are, men that are on marijuana, because it produces estrogen and another hormone that causes the sperm count to go low, so they're less likely to be able to procreate or have babies. And miscarriage, of course, because when the fetus is affected by marijuana through the transplacental transfer, the body will sense that there's something wrong with the fetus, possibly, and when there's something wrong with the fetus, that can often start a miscarriage. That's what the body gets rid of fetuses that aren't developing right, and marijuana can affect that. And of course, diabetes is more common in people that use marijuana because of the munchies, and then they tend to overeat, and then they cook the marijuana into edibles like brownies. We had a lady that 2 years younger than me, born in 1944, and she kept making brownies and tell us about it up at the mall while we were walking. She said, I made some more brownies than I ate every one of them. But at the same time, she was telling us these stories. Her A1C kept going up and going up and going up, and what she was doing to this 80-year-old or 78-year-old woman at the time was eating a lot of marijuana edibles, and she ran her A1C up so high that metformin wouldn't handle it, and the doctor had to put her on an insulin shot. Okay, malnutrition. You may not look like you're malnourished, but you eat a lot of junk food when you're on dope, and idle, worthless calories, and you could be malnourished. Oh, hair loss. The THC goes into the follicles of the hair, and the fracturing cells that grow the hair shaft, they can be inhibited, and the hair can grow thinner, and the hair can grow less quickly. Then old age poverty, of course, if you've been spending all your money on dope through most of your adult life and into your senior years, you probably haven't worked steady. You don't have a pension plan on your own because you haven't been able to save money because you're drug impairment. So you're much more likely to be impoverished at old age. Then we have the parent-child doping. That's when the child is growing up in a household where the parents are both doping and there's dope in the house. And when the child gets old enough, possibly by the time he's in the 5th or the 6th grade, he's has his own dope or he's smoking his daddy's swag or whatever. And then meaningless tattoos. Of course, when you're impaired with dope, you don't have too many inhibitions, and you can be high and walking past a tattoo shop and just kind of meander in and get tattooed all over your body and waste a lot of money. And I always know that when somebody's coming to rent, if they got tattoos all over them, I don't rent to them because 99% of the time people that are heavily tattooed are on dope, common dope, the kind that the governor likes to sell you. They have a system of statewide stores, and we have a lower IQ, of course. If the child's growing up in a marijuana house, he'll probably never accomplish math beyond 6th grade level. He might learn how to read a little bit higher than that. And people that start out with a higher IQ, if they've smoked dope for a few years, I guarantee if they take another IQ test, their IQ is going to go down. And then chronic bronchitis, the marijuana smoke anesthetizes the vocal cords, and you talk like a duck, the marijuana monotone voice. It dries up the airway. It turns off the mucus cells that catch the contagions and the contaminants, and it immobilizes the microcelia in the airway that works with the mucus to bring the contagions and the contaminants up to the back of the throat where you can cough them up and expectorate them out. And then the time distortions, I've told you about that already, when you're going down the road and you have a delayed reaction to dope that you had earlier, and time and velocity stops, and it seems like your car stops while you're going down the freeway at 60 miles an hour, so you get out to see why your car stopped and you get run over because everybody's still going 60. Okay, velocity misperceptions, that goes right along with that. Delayed reaction to dope or jacked up or boosted dope. Carbon monoxide, they have a big problem in Denver, Colorado. It's a mile high, so there's not as much oxygen when these dopers get into a bedroom and they all start passing the pot pipe around. With less oxygen, the marijuana burns less cleanly, and it turns out less carbon dioxide and more carbon monoxide, so you get people that are either partially or totally impaired with carbon monoxide from smoking dope. Half of the emergency room visits in Denver are for weed poisoning of some form or another, or psychosis. Slower learning, of course, if your brain's not working and you can't do multiple tasks and you can't remember anything, you're not going to learn much. Sexual dysfunction for sure, because it increases the estrogen in the body of the man, and what it does to the woman, I'm not sure, but I'm sure they have some type of sexual dysfunction. Maybe it's just secondhand from the men not having any function. And the fetal nerve disruptions, we told you about that. The THC misimprints the fetal motor sensory nerve impulses in the fetus, and once they get imprinted and off course, they tend to stay imprinted and off course, and you wind up with a kid that's got some real problems. And some people say it's very similar to autism, than that the advent of more toxic marijuana and more people using it over the last 50 years has led has something to do with the increase in autism. But of course, we know that marijuana doesn't cause autism because the marijuana proponents have assured us that it has no effect on the development of children in the womb or afterwards. So, lost motivation, of course, if you're high all the time and just feeling so good you don't feel like doing anything except getting high, and that's all you want to do. You're not going to have much motivation. They're going to come back and see you 10 years later, and you're going to be doing the same thing you were doing 10 years ago. Not much changes in your life when you're on dope. Physical addiction, when they brought it to us in the election and said, oh, vote for it because it's not physically addiction, they were just plain out lying, just like they were lying about COVID not coming from China. And everybody believed it, or else they fixed the election, jury rigged it. But anyway, 13 years ago, we started getting a lot more people physically addicted. And as soon as they legalized it, they started making it stronger. Everything is about twice as strong. The oils or the bud that you smoke is about twice as toxic as it was 13 years ago when they legalized dope in Washington. And then THC, toxic breath. I'll give you a little example. So the store up there at the mall, I won't tell you which one it was. I was talking with the sales clerk, and we were face to face at a desk there, and he had marijuana on his breath, and within about a minute, I couldn't hear what the hell he was saying. I thought he had started whispering, but I had inhaled his THC breath, and it got into my ears and knocked me for about 20 decibels of hearing, and I couldn't hear him. So I told him, you smoke a lot of dope, don't you? He said, how did you know? I said, because I can't hear a damn thing you're saying. Then anyway, okay, man boobs, yeah, because of the increased testosterone, or not testosterone, but progesterone and female hormone, estrogen, that is produced by the male who's on marijuana. It's called gynecomastia, and men with boobs, and most of them will go down and have them taken off unless they want to do a sex change and become a girl anyway. Then they'll just leave them on. And then, of course, black lungs. Black lungs is what you get from breathing coal or soot or carbon. You get that off of cigarettes and marijuana smoke. And or industrial smoke. Brown lung is what you get from being a farmer. You get that from breathing dirt, and then you get asbestos lungs from being an insulator using asbestos and whatnot. So we have all these lung problems that come from smoke, any kind of smoke. And then tooth loss, if you're not taking care of your teeth and you're oral healthy, you don't have money to go to the dentist and get your teeth cleaned, you let the plaque build up, and of course your teeth are rotting out of your head. and about all you can do is go on an emergency visit and have them pulled when they get so bad you can't stand it any longer. Weak immune system, any kind of smoke will weaken your immune system, but anything that affects your nervous system, your central nervous system, and everything else, it weakens your immune system, and you'll get sick more because your airways are anesthetized, and the microcilia aren't working, and the mucus cells aren't working, and so forth. And every time you inhale a virus or a cold, it'll stay around and fester and cause a sickness. You'll have strep throats and sore throats and bronchial pneumonia and all this stuff. A lot more if you're a common doper, okay? And happy governor, of course. We have Governor Inslee, and then we have Governor Ferguson, and when Trump's first attorney general got up and said, we're going to come after these states that have legalized marijuana, both our governor and our attorney general got up on the stump and started crying and said, you better leave our dope alone. We voted it in. We'll sue you. And then Ferguson did sue Trump about 50 times, and now the new attorney general of Washington, now that Ferguson's the governor, he's already started suing Trump, so that's what they like to do, is sue anybody that gets in their Democrat way, and they're going after Trump again. Happy governor, of course. The governor, if he's proponent of dope, he's probably on it himself. autonomous skill loss, things that you've learned to do so well that you can do them from the stem of your brain without thinking, like driving after you become a skilled driver. That goes away when you're on dope. When you're driving high, you think of one thing at a time. You see a stop sign, you think, what do I do? Then you say, oh, I stop. So by the time you put your foot on the pedal, you've rolled into the crosswalk and things like that. So, but other parts of autonomous skill, like cooking or doing math or anything like that you have a squalid home, because you can tolerate a lot of dirt and a lot of undone housework and dirty laundry if you all you want to do is get high all the time, and it makes you feel so good you don't feel like doing anything else. And of course, early dementia, if you're prone to Alzheimer's, you're going to get it 10 years early. That's already been proven if you're on dope. Bad credit, of course, because you won't be working steady or able to hold the job, and you won't know how to manage a budget because you just spend your money impulsively. Driving skill loss for sure. All these wiped out guardrails are from truck drivers that are driving high, and each one you see. I remember when I was 10 years old and we could go all the way across the country and maybe see 2 wiped out guardrails, but now that I'm driving and go down I-5, I see a wiped out guardrail about every quarter mile, and each one of those represents a truck driver that's been fired and is driving high. Emphysema, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Yes, you can get that from marijuana. You can get it from any kind of smoke. You can get it from having a dirty fireplace, wind blowing down the chimney and blowing smoke in the area, or breathing paint. So that's more prevalent if you're smoking anything. Paranoia, the public service announcement, people are putting that out on radio now. They finally started doing it, and I'm surprised that they ever did it, because the politicians and the governor and the attorney general, they're pro-dope all the way, and it looks like the Trump administration may be getting ready to legalize it at the federal level, which will mean watch out. You haven't seen anything yet. And then frequent jailings, of course, because you're more prone to do shoplifting or crime, sell drugs, other things if you're a drug addict. And then child neglect. What are you going to do? You're going to get your week's supply of marijuana, or you're going to buy the kid a new jacket. So that's enough for part 2. We'll show you the other one again here. I've got 6 columns, and then I've got a 7th column on another page, but I don't have it written up very nicely. But here's part 2. Finish it up. Thank you for listening. Adios, amigos. Auf Wiedersehen.